Have you ever wondered if aliens really do exist? Well, the latest news from China might be the evidence we've been looking for. We've just heard reports that China's top-secret spaceplane has released an unknown object into orbit. In this video, we'll take a look at what this mysterious object might be and what it could mean for the possibility of alien life. According to tracking data from the U.S. Space Force, China's secretive reusable spaceplane has launched an object into orbit. On August 4, 2022, China launched its second reusable experimental spacecraft from Jiuquan in the Gobi Desert atop a Long March 2F rocket. The spacecraft has now spent 90 days in orbit. The spacecraft raised its perigee, the point in its orbit when it is closest to Earth, 2 weeks ago, shifting to a near-circular 597 by 608 kilometer orbit. The 18th Space Defense Squadron of the United States Space Force has tracked an object close to the spaceplane in the most recent development. The object, whose nature is unknown, is most likely very close to the spacecraft and was thus only entered into the database once it was determined to be a separate, discrete object with a high level of confidence. According to Robert Christie of Orbital Focus, the object could have been released at any time between October 24th and October 31st, while performing station keeping to stay close to the space place. China has not provided any updates on the mission since a brief statement announcing the spacecraft's launch. There have been no images of the craft published. This is not the first time an object has been ejected from the spacecraft. China's spaceplane deorbited an object after 2 orbits at the end of its first 2-day mission in September 2020. For weeks after that, the object continued to broadcast S-band transmissions. One theory is that the object is a small satellite used to monitor the spaceplane. Previously, Chinese crew capsules released launching small companion satellites for monitoring purposes. It could also serve as a practice run for launching small satellite payloads into orbit. Another possibility is that the object is a service module, as noted by astronomer and spacecraft tracker Jonathan McDowell in a tweet. China's spaceplane project is shrouded in mystery. Chinese space authorities have closely guarded launch operations and only revealed the spacecraft's 2 missions once it was in orbit. However, hints about the dimensions and shape of the craft appeared in August, with apparent images of the mission's payload fairing appearing online. The spacecraft appears to be associated with the creation of an orbital segment of a fully reusable 2-stage-to-orbit space transportation system. In September of this year, a suborbital segment with a vertical takeoff and horizontal landing flew for the second time. The Natural Science Foundation of China recently awarded the project national funding. According to the China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, CALT, which is developing the vehicles, the project is seen as supporting the development of China's scientific and technological power, aerospace power, and transportation power, as well as having practical social, technological, economic, and other application values. The spacecraft's orbital duration is unknown, but it is expected to land at the Lopner base in Xinjiang, as it did on its first flight. Recent activity near the landing site is indicated by satellite imagery. Christie's analysis of the spaceplane's orbit suggests that the spacecraft had a chance to deorbit and land at Lopner, the site of the first mission's landing, in late November. The new orbit has repeating ground tracks every 71 hours, which means the spacecraft will fly over Lopner and land once every 3 days. However, the opportunities in the coming weeks would include a landing during local nighttime. China is considering other reusable spacecraft or spaceplane projects. The China Aerospace Science and Industry Corporation, CASIC, is developing its own spaceplane, Tingyun, while commercial firm Space Transportation raised more than $46.3 million last year for its hypersonic spaceplane plans. A number of Chinese rocket companies have also created presentations that include small spaceplanes launching atop liquid rocket concepts. According to orbital focus Robert Christie, the item could have been released at any time between October 24th and October 31st, while the spaceplane was performing station keeping. China hasn't released any details about the mission since a brief announcement announcing the spacecraft's launch. The ship was not photographed. This is not the first time an item has been ejected from the spaceship. China's spaceplane ejected an item about 2 orbits before deorbiting after its initial 2-day flight in September 2020. The object continued to send S-band transmissions for several weeks after that. According to one theory, the object is a tiny satellite used to monitor the spaceplane. Previously, Chinese crew capsules launched tiny companion satellites called Banqing for surveillance purposes. It could also be used as a test run for launching small satellite packages into orbit. Another possibility, as noted by astrophysicist and spacecraft analyst Jonathan McDowell in a tweet, is that the item is a servicing module. There isn't much information available about China's spaceplane project. Chinese space officials have kept launch activities quiet, revealing the spacecraft's 2 missions only after it was in orbit. The ship's dimensions and shape were revealed in August, with rumored photos of the mission's payload fairing circulating online. The spacecraft appears to be connected to the development of an orbital segment of a fully recyclable 2-stage to-orbit space transit system. In September, a suborbital section with vectored thrust and a horizontal landing flew for the second time this year. The Chinese Natural Science Foundation recently awarded the project national funding. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe and watch other interesting videos in our channel.